Behind the Dish is sponsored by DBAT. Check out dbat.net for baseball and softball products, franchise information, and to find a location near you. And now your host, John Piper.
Welcome to another segment of Behind the Dish. I'm John Piper, and we are broadcasting live from the 75th Annual American Baseball Coaches Association Annual Conference, and pleased to be joined by head baseball coach of the Paris Junior College, Clay Cox. Welcome to the show.
John, appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be here.
Well, I know you're a busy guy. You speak, you give back to the baseball community very openly, and we applaud that. And for you to carve out some time to come over here and spend with us it is an honor. We appreciate that. And we were just talking, Coach Cox, you're a Texas-born and raised kid. You're there at Paris Junior College. But you spent a couple years at the high school ranks at some smaller schools. That's a great place to start since we're right here in Texas, Grapevine, Texas. Talk to us a little bit about how you got your coaching start.
So when I graduated from Texas A&M, I actually worked with the football team when I was there, and I wanted to coach both. I wanted to coach football and baseball, and so I decided to go the high school route to start. I was a 1A varsity assistant at James Bowie High School in Deep East, Texas. And went from James Bowie. I was fortunate enough to get my first head coaching job at Jacksboro with Tommy Allison and that crew. And spent a year in Jacksboro, and then was fortunate enough to move down to Rockdale between Austin and College Station. We had a couple really good years there. And about 5 years in, I decided that, I want to coach college baseball. I was at that point. And so the spring of 2013, I sent out about 350 blind emails. Wow. Just trying to find a spot, anything I could find. And I got a lot of no replies.
A lot of rejection.
A lot of rejections. And then a couple, you're on the right track. We don't have anything. And I got one yes, and that was at the University of West Alabama, Division II in the Gulf South Conference.
So hey, let me hold you there, Coach. So you went 1 for 350.
I did 1 for 350.
But, it just takes one.
That's
right?
That's what I try to tell these guys in the recruiting process is that let everybody know who you want. Anybody you may be interested in, because the worst case scenario they delete the email. Best case scenario maybe you find a home, and that's what I did. And 2 years there, got another master's degree, and we were fortunate enough in 2015 that we won the Gulf South Conference. We were actually picked to finish 6th in the preseason poll, and won the whole thing. We were ranked 4th in the country and set all kinds of records at the school that year, and went into that summer without a job because I was done with my GA, and fortunate enough that Brick Steed had moved on from Paris Junior College, and Darren Clark was there as the head coach, and he was kind enough to take me in, and that's where we're at now. So,
man, what a great story! For our listeners, a lot of student athletes that are working on their game, or even coaches that are out there listening. That chase your dream, follow your passion, and the road. It might be windy. It might look steep over the edge of that cliff, but if you're focused and you work hard enough, you can get to where you want to go.
That's the truth, and there's a lot of cliches that can go into that, and I try to explain it to the guys these days. I think the kids say shoot your shot, and so that's what I tell them. I mean, take your chances, because if you want something, you're going to find a way. And I had a lot of people in my corner that did a lot of things that helped me get there, and so I'm really grateful for those guys that allowed me to, the opportunities, and those that were behind me. My mom being a big one, especially. She was in my corner the whole way, knew this is what I wanted, and we're here where we are today.
Well, the Paris Junior College Dragons, you're off to a great success. You placed all 7 sophomores in 2017 to play baseball. After JUCO, 5 of them, sent them on to Division I. Talk a little bit about that first year as a head coach.
That first year in 2017, it was a year that Coach Clark and we had decided we needed to make some changes, and we separated with some players that we felt like they would have a better place somewhere else, and we went into that summer. We needed 15 players that summer, and Coach Clark got the job at New Mexico Junior College, and I was kind of like, well, I got to sign 15 guys on my own here. And so that's what another reason, I try to, not to get too far off topic, but I try to explain to these seniors in high school is I had to sign 15 guys in June and July. These guys had already graduated high school, and I went out and I held just workout after workout. I went to the emails. I found videos, and brought guys in that had sent us video. One of those guys, a young man who was out of Dobie High School in Houston, sent us a video. He had one D2 JUCO offer in Iowa, and 2 years later, he's now at Ole Miss after coming through our program for 2 years. You know, just those kind of stories. That class we took, we finished the year with 21 guys on the roster in 2017, our first year, and we were 2 wins away from Grand Junction. But that bunch shouldn't have been there, and people will tell you that they just played a different type of baseball. They played our type of baseball, and they just refused to quit.
Man, what a great story. They come together, a local DBAT DFW right here in South Lake, Texas, not far from the convention floor. Coach Cox is hosting a 2019, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I'll go ahead and tell you now.
Well,
a 2019 unsigned senior workout. I think 20 coaches they're going to be over there looking at pitchers, catchers, position players Saturday afternoon for that same reason. You know, there's a reason that they haven't signed yet. Maybe they've had offers, but they just haven't found the right fit. But there's always going to be a place to play if that kid wants to take their game to the next level.
And that's the truth. And I think that what you have to understand there with those recruits is they need to understand that it may not be exactly where they want to go. They may have to make some sacrifices. It may be further away from home, or it may not be the level that they, quote, want to be at.
Colder temperatures.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, those northern schools will pay a lot of money for a Texas kid. You know, they're playing year-round baseball in good weather, and so they will. We see that at the junior college level as well. Those Division I's up north, they'll pay a lot of money for a guy. And so it just, you have to be willing to make some sacrifices if you truly want to do, but there is somewhere for everybody, I feel like.
I'm really compelled to talk more about that summer of that 2017 where you had to put together 15 players. You had to bring in all different types of personalities to join your roster. Man, tell us about the challenges you had bringing all those new kids together and how it all just fell into place.
You know, it was a whirlwind, obviously, for me, that being my first head collegiate job, and kind of just I will say that first thing up front is that Darren Clark, who I worked under for that year at Paris, really prepared me in one short year. I sat at the desk next to him, and I tried to soak up everything I could because, you know, he was just he had been around the game a long time, had been at Paris 19 years, and so he really groomed me, I think, to be ready for that. But you're not ready for it. You know, you think you are, and we got all those guys in there, and we preached from the get-go. You know, we were a blue-collar team. These were guys that quote, nobody wanted, and we're going to play with a chip on our shoulder and prove some people wrong, and that's exactly what they did.
We were fortunate to have Coach Matt Deggs on early last season, and you probably heard him talk about this OKG, our kind of guy. It sounds like you subscribe to a similar philosophy as getting that blue-collar, that hard-working kid that is hungry, wants to come out and play. It's
funny you say that because when I coached summer ball in the Texas Collegiate League with the Brazos Valley Bombers for 3 years, this is before I've never heard before Deggs coined the OKG phrase. We would always talk on the phone recruiting throughout the year with our other coaches, and we'd say, hey, he's our kind of guy. And then when Coach Deggs said that on a podcast, it clicked with me. And so actually right before the guys left for Christmas break after payout for the Grand Junction Challenge, they all got shirts that say OKG on it. You know, you made it through the fall, and you're our kind of guy. So I definitely, that's exactly what they are. They're OKGs. That's what we look for.
Well, we know how important recruiting is at any level of college baseball, but you know you're only going to get a kid for 1, maybe 2 years at Paris Junior College. So how does that change your mindset, Coach Cox, when you're talking to a high school player about coming and joining your program?
You know, I think that number one is that 9 times out of 10, we're not going to see a guy's best baseball at the junior college level. His best baseball is ahead of him. And so we have to understand that. And I never envisioned myself being a junior college coach, but I think it's been great for me. I truly love the developmental side of things, the breaking down, you know, watching these guys over 2 years work to get where they want to be. And that's the big thing about that I love about junior college is that's what we've got to tell them, you know. Maybe you're not there quite yet, and I talk to guys all the time. You know, everybody wants to go Division I. Yeah, everybody does. I get that. But if you're a true competitor, do you want to go somewhere and sit for a year or two and maybe get a little time or take a red shirt, or do you want to come in somewhere and play every day and get ready that way when you're as a junior and you get into that program, you're battle tested, and we're the kind of place that if a guy comes out after his freshman year and big school comes in and wants to sign him, we're going to let him go. That's great for him. It's great for us. I mean, we had a freshman catcher my first year that Alabama called in April, said we need a catcher bad. He was ready to go. He played every day in the SEC as a sophomore, and that's good for you. It's good for us. Yeah, he was a very special, talented kid, and so it's just we sell the fact of we're trying to help you get to where you want to go. Now, I don't want us to just be a stopping point. I want you to be bought into what we do. But if you can be the best player that you can be for Paris Junior College, the rest is going to take care of itself.
And from a coaching perspective, we see a lot of coaches in perennial top 20 programs that spent quite a few years at the junior college level. Skip Johnson at OU, Tim Tadlock, Rob Childress. I mean, it goes on and on. Everybody's got to start somewhere, right?
They do, and that's I love the fact that those guys have their junior college ties. If you look at Region 5 and Region 14 and the number of Division I head coaches that were in that league at some point in time, there's a lot of them. And I think that junior college, there's just something special about it. It's just it's a grind out mentality. It's it's blue collar. You're sitting too deep on a bus eating what we call sack nasties with that PB&J. But I think it helps you respect and appreciate what you get when you get to those bigger schools and you get the limelight, you get the great gear, you get all those things. I think you appreciate it so much more because you came through the ranks in junior college, and it's just something that I think helps make a guy tougher, for one.
Well, Coach, we know at the JUCO level a lot more work is done on the field. The players get a lot of reps. That's one of the advantages of playing junior college baseball is the opportunity to get on the field early, as a freshman, as a sophomore. What are some of the things that you've seen that really differentiates a kid that's trying to get to the next level, play D1 baseball, or go on to another 4-year program that helps impact their chances to getting there?
I think that coming in, you've got to have an understanding that first things first, I call it the deception factor. Every kid in that locker room was the best player on their high school team. Every hitter was the 4-hole. Every pitcher was the number 1. And so you have to understand that when you come in, you're coming in to play against guys that are as good or better than you were. And so the deception factor is one of the things we addressed in the first team meeting. And I just think that you've got to, trust the process, all the cliches there that we talk about, and if you truly will trust the process, 2017 numbers were thrown out, but last year we had 15 out of 15 sophomores signed. 12 of those guys went Division I. Same thing that most of those guys were those freshmen in 2017 that nobody, wanted out of high school, but they trusted the process and they worked. And, JUCO you've got weights, you've got practice, there's no time restrictions on anything. And so it is long days, but they're beneficial if you're willing to come in and just from the get-go, you got to buy into what you're doing. If you don't buy in, then you're hurting from the start.
Coach Cox, you've got Dragon baseball heading the right direction. Congratulate you for that. Let's go ahead and talk about the 2019 season. We're just right at 30, 40 days away from opening weekend.
Well, we're 22 days from opening day.
22 days, wow.
Yeah.
Time flies. We're officially into the 2019 baseball season. What can you talk about your upcoming roster, your team of players that you have suiting up and ready to show up for the 2019 season?
We're excited. We're very excited about this bunch. There's a lot of youth. We are very young. I do feel like top to bottom it may be our deepest pitching staff we've had since we've been there. But, we'll see how freshmen handle the moment. That's always a question mark. Offensively, we've been top 10 in the country every year in stolen bases. We like to run. We've built around the speed. Gary Gilmore, when I heard him speak in Orlando, he said it, right out of the gate. He said, recruit the athlete and build the ball player. And we kind of subscribe to that motto. But we do have, I think, more thump in the middle of the lineup than we've ever had. Our first baseman, who was an everyday first baseman for us as a freshman last year, signed with Southeastern Louisiana in the Southland. Our catcher is signed with Oklahoma State. He transferred in from West Virginia University. We've got an arm that pitched every day out of the bullpen for us, and we've got a lot of sophomore pieces that are really going to, I think, come together, I hope, and it could be the start of something special.
And I know you're always on the recruiting trail. It's probably maybe 50% of your job at the JUCO level for sure, at any level. Talk about some of the recruits that you've signed, you have committed for the 2020 and potentially the 2020 season coming up. I know you got some talented players already going to join your program?
We do. It's been a very diverse class. I think we've got a lot of power in this class. We've got a young man that's out of Conroe, Hayden Johnson. Two-way guy, a big physical, strong cat. We've got a couple guys out of Saxe High School here in the Metroplex, which we had a third baseman from there last year. Was an all-region third baseman, 2-year starter for us. We